part 16. We're over 2/3 of the way through on a 20-part series on how you, the UK estate agency, can get more listings for your estate agency. And I'm joined today by Gatesy. Gatesy, what's part 16, mate?
So we're leveraging Google in part 16, Chris. So I'm going to share my screen, and it's a static image from Google Maps. Hopefully you can see that okay, Chris. And you will notice that there are lots of pins on the map, yeah?
Yep.
So basically what you can do is you can go into Google Maps and type in the addresses of properties. You can type in whatever you want, but this, for example, is properties that I sold in 2019, my last full year in estate agency. So basically, there are pins on the map. You can see where I did most of my business around Newport Pagnell. So it's really good to get a heat map for your estate agency. Where are we doing business? So you could have different maps. It could be lost appraisals. It could be where are your buyers of houses to sell locally. It could be properties you've completed on. There's so many different examples, but this is a great map, a visual map to show you where are your prospecting opportunities.
So obviously you'd go where all the dots are, wouldn't you? Because you've got brand knowledge there.
So literally that's where I'm hovering now. That is Newport Pagnell, and essentially between 250 and 500,000 in Newport. That was my market. That's where I did a lot of business. So I knew to invest a lot more time in this. And then somebody's out here were more of a add-ons. You know what I mean? What is it? 80% of your results come from 20% of your activity. I very much followed that mantra.
And
so
can you color code these if you wanted to, or filter them out? How does that work?
You create different maps. So if I just stop sharing my screen and go onto a different map, so I'm on Google Maps now. So if I go to top left-hand corner of Google Maps, press menu, press your places, and then new list, and I'm just going to call this Chris Watkin.
Hey,
and press create. I haven't done this in a while, so let's see how we go. Add a place, and I am going to choose this property here. And look, we've now got a pin on the map.
Love that.
So that could be my Chris Watkin list. I could go create another list, which could be the Simon Gates list, the John Smith list, and so on and so on. Now, that doesn't look like much there because it's only one pin amongst all of these. You can remove these other pins in the filter and settings, but you will then get a really good heat map understanding of your marketplace.
That's what it's all about, mate, isn't it? You know, pain in the arse to do this, but once it's done, isn't it?
When I first did it, I was like, oh my God, I'm really into it now. So it took me a long time. But if I was back in a estate agency, there's some absolute gold there where I'd be like, right, I know where I'll be going for my next listing opportunities.
There you go, boards breeds boards. So actually find out where you're bloody well put on, boys and girls. Lovely.
Exactly.
Anything else on this point?
Yeah, so whilst we're on Google, I'm going to hover over to where I grew up. So Stoke Goldington, lovely village where my parents still live. So I'm going to zoom in on Stoke Goldington, and I am going to go onto satellite now. So you'll have to bear with me if I maybe get this slightly wrong, but I am going to zoom in on Stoke Goldington. Remember where I am. Let's go over here. And right, let's look at this bungalow here. Okay, so bungalow, I know well. It's on the market right now for sale, and it's actually one I've sold in the past. Now, let's pretend this is one of the 30-ish% of properties that don't have a square footage from an EPC in the country. It'd be nice if I could find that out, right?
Yep.
Without having to go around with a tape measure. Now, if I simply right click and press measure distance, you see where I'm going with this, Chris, don't you?
Oh.
So I now I can't see because my zoom is in the way.
Okay, 278 square meters.
So what are we talking? 3,000 square feet?
Yeah.
There you go. So I now know that's a 3,000 square foot bungalow.
Remember, boys and girls, just so you're aware, the EPC ratings are internal square footage or square meterage. Whilst this is, I know, a little bit rough and ready, but it gives you a ballpark.
Yeah.
The difference between internal and external is about 15%. Just so you're aware, so you don't look a prat when you're talking to the potential vendor. But I love that, mate.
So whilst we're on that, and the fact that you're loving that, and I love what you just said, this is the garden here. It's not got much depth to it, but I'm going to click on here, measure distance, and go, well, what is it to that end? So how many feet is that, Chris? Because I'm struggling to see it at the bottom.
That's 97 of your English feet, or 29 of your metric meters.
There you go. So it's not got much depth to it, but you've still got a 100-foot garden in terms of width there.
Yes.
Now, let's just say for a second that this parcel of land here belonged to that property, but wasn't on its title. So when you look at different platforms that show you title information, if it was separate to that, it'd be nice if you could measure it. So again, let's just say I know roughly what it is because the owner's sort of told me what it is. I could go, all right then, Mr. Owner, you own this plot of land here. And then you've got your measurement there. Again, you could go onto Google, convert it into acres, hectares, whatever it is you use.
So again, boys and girls, if you want to know how to do that into acreage, there are 4,840 square yards in an acre. So therefore, let's just, that one there was 27,000 square feet. So the first thing we need to do is convert that into square yards. So therefore, there are 9 square feet in a, I'm being really boring now. There are 9 square feet in a yard. So that 27,000, you divide that by 9, which would give you the square yardage. And then you would divide that by 4,840, and that would give you your acreage. There you go.
Mind blown there, Chris. Right, we've got one more to go on Google. So, I didn't mean to do that. Where is my little man? There he is.
So is this the village that you got brought up in?
Yeah, village I got brought up in. Yeah.
What's the lamb like? Is it a nice pint?
Well, I'm about to say I've got a story on that, Chris. We're now on Google Street View, and there is the lamb. Long story short, I was playing a darts match for the White Hart in Stoke Goldington, which was a pub at the other end at the Lamb. I think I was 18 at the time, and I'd never drunk Old Rosie cider, and it tasted like apple juice. I had a few of them, and I went missing before my darts match, and no one knew where I was. I'd gone back home and fell asleep in the toilet. So anyway, if we go back, and this is actually a really good example, this is where I bought my first ever car when I was 17 years old. I saved up my pocket money from the paper round, and this property got built in recent years. Now, in the top left-hand corner, you can see Google Street View went down here in October 2021.
Yeah.
If I click see more dates, I can actually go back. So I could go back to the year 2009 and look how different it was.
Like a busted song, isn't it? The year 2000.
So you could literally, so I'm just looking at, I thought like that might be my first ever car, but it wasn't. Anyway, imagine you're going out to see a developer who's just built that, and you can say, oh, look, this is what it looked like before, or you show potential purchase. Again, you are showing that you are the font of all knowledge in that area.
You really are the gift that keeps giving, mate, aren't you?
I try.
Good stuff. Any more on this one before we go and move on to the next section?
I think we've leveraged Google enough in that one, Chris.
We certainly have. Well, that's the end of part 16. We'll see you on the other side on part 17.